This is James with WSTrades.com. I want to provide an update on ticker BBIG or Vinco Ventures. So they had a massive pump here yesterday, and they gapped down a little bit here, but they are starting to try to pump again and climb back up towards $5. You can kind of see how they were bleeding out on the daily time frame for a long time. So going back to January, they kind of peaked out up here around the $17, $18 mark. And then they just started to bleed, and they just kept bleeding down to this $1 level. And now they've started to go on this rip. So this rip started back here on July 7th. And as you can see in the news stories here, there was a possible deal to buy the National Enquirer, and that deal fell through. So when that deal fell through, that's when this crazy rip started here. So they made this massive move up in price from about $1 peaking out around $6 yesterday before they started to sell off. So when I saw this crazy pump yesterday, I think I saw it in after hours, I was like, oh, I'm going short, because I started to look at their investor page on their website, and their latest SEC filing here is an 8K, which says they're getting delisted from the exchange. So they're going to get delisted from NASDAQ. So a bunch of people from the board of directors quit, and it says the company no longer complies with NASDAQ's independent director, audit, and compensation committee. And this is typical of crappy companies and garbage stocks. You'll see sometimes like a notice comes out that they're going to get delisted from the NASDAQ, and then a bunch of people pile in. I don't know, somehow they think it's a good investment, or, there's going to be some massive short squeeze and all this kind of crazy stuff is going to happen. And they have had a pretty good pump here, but I think what a lot of people are, trying to get in on is something crazy like we saw with GameStop. So I think that's the hope here. People start buying, they pile in, they think there's going to be some kind of crazy short squeeze, and this thing's going to go to like $300 or $500. Kind of like we saw that epic squeeze with GameStop, but it rarely ever happens. We've seen a few crazy pumps. GameStop was one of them. That epic short squeeze. We saw HKD, which was a super low float IPO that came out and made a run, I think, to like $2,500, which was pretty nutty. But those instances are really rare. So most likely what is going to happen here, this thing might pump a little more. I'm not going to lie, you can see this crazy price action where it rips like 500% in a couple weeks. We might see some craziness, we might see some madness, but if these guys do end up getting delisted, which is most likely because, again, not a good company, not good financials. Fundamentally, they're a garbage company. A bunch of people just quit. This is an extremely high risk investment. Definitely not a long-term investment here at all. If you're looking to maybe buy in and try to get in on some pump here, you want to dump your shares when you're at a good profit. Because, I ended up going short as soon as I saw this crazy pump here yesterday. I'm like, this is stupid. They're about to get delisted from NASDAQ. This is a trash company. And they're going on this insane rip here. So, I'm short. I sold the one call actually expiring this Friday. But what I'm going to do is just continue to roll that thing until they die off and get delisted, because that most likely is what's going to happen eventually here. We've seen so many penny stocks and so many garbage companies. They get these delisting notices, and then everybody piles in and tries to pump them to the moon. And then really what ends up happening is they trek towards zero and they get delisted and they go on the OTC market. And, I traded Redbox so many times, sold a bunch of calls against Redbox when they were super overvalued, and I ended up making a ton of money off of it. Whereas other people were trying to, go long and kind of ride the pump for a profit. I was just looking at them fundamentally, and I'm like, hey, these guys are only worth like 50 cents a share or something, because, with Redbox, there was the buyout with, I think, Chicken Soup for the Soul. So we already kind of knew ahead of time, oh, they're only worth like 50 cents, or, they might be worth $1 at best. Because, Chicken Soup for the Soul was buying them out, and we kind of knew how many shares of Chicken Soup for the Soul you were going to get being a Redbox shareholder. So it's like we knew a predetermined value of these guys being worth maybe $1 or less, but people were paying $5, $10, $15. I don't know if you remember the Redbox rallies that were happening, but But every time Redbox had a stupid explosion like this, I was just like, oh, it's way overvalued. I'm just going to sell a call. And that's how I made a ton of money off of it. So, my advice here is to tread lightly if you want to go long. This is an extremely risky long position if you're going to take a long position on this right now. I mean, maybe you'll get lucky and they'll pump up to $10 or $15 or, go on some crazy run like we kind of seen here over the past couple of weeks. But what I'm doing, I'm going short because I'm just going to, wait until this thing dies off back to where it belongs, which is probably at this $1 level or even way below it. I mean, if we do get an actual date coming up here when they're going to be delisted or when they actually do get delisted, we're going to see a massive sell-off when that actually comes to fruition. So just wanted to provide an update here and let you know what I think about this stupid move here with ticker BBIG or Vinco Ventures. Please like this video. Please also subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Hit that notification bell